Today is June 27th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps, 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are going to continue our journey through the final chapter of the core text, A Vision for You, by reading pages 154 and 155. And out of the 12 and 12, we are going to finish tradition number 11 by reading page 183. Man, we're cruising right along in these books. It's crazy to think about. We've cycled back through the core text twice now. We're about to finish up the 12 and 12. Bottom line is we've been given a brand new set of 24 hours, and what a blessing that is. So let's go ahead and get right to the good stuff. So in yesterday's reading, we talked about how the fellowship is a wonderful substitute. As it says on 152, there is a substitute to alcohol, and it is vastly more than that. It is a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I love the next few lines. The most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead. So yesterday we were talking about this story. Years ago in 1935, one of our number made a journey to a certain western city. From a business standpoint, his trip came off badly. Or had he been successful in his enterprise, he would have set on his feet financially, which at the time seemed vitally important. But his venture wound up in a lawsuit and bogged down completely. The proceeding was shot through with much hard feeling and controversy. So we're going to continue that idea on 154 and 155. Bitterly discouraged, he found himself in a strange place, discredited and almost broke. Still physically weak and sober but a few months, he saw that his predicament was dangerous. He wanted so much to talk with somebody, but whom? One dismal afternoon, he paced a hotel lobby, wondering how his bill was to be paid. At one end of the room stood a glass-covered directory of local churches. Down the lobby, a door opened to an attractive bar. He could see the gay crowd inside. In there, he'd find companionship and release. Unless he took some drinks, he might not have the courage to scrape an acquaintance and would have a lonely weekend. Of course, he couldn't drink. But why not just sit hopefully at a table? A bottle of ginger ale before him. After all, had he not been sober 6 months now? Perhaps he could handle, say, 3 drinks, no more. Fear gripped him. He was on thin ice. Again, it was that old, insidious insanity. That first drink. With a shiver, he turned away and walked down the lobby to the church directory. Music and gay chatter still floated to him from the bar. But what about his responsibilities, his family, and the men who would die because they would not know how to get well? Ah, yes, those other alcoholics. There must be many such in this town. He would phone a clergyman. His sanity returned, and he thanked God, selecting a church at random from the directory. He stepped in a booth and lifted the receiver. His call to the clergyman led him presently to a certain resident of the town who, though formerly able and respected, was then nearing the nadir of his alcoholic despair. It was the usual situation. Home in jeopardy, wife ill, children distracted, bills in arrears, and standing damaged. He had a desperate desire to stop, but saw no way out, for he had earnestly tried many avenues of escape. Painfully aware of being somehow abnormal, the man did not fully realize what it meant to be alcoholic. And of course, this refers to Bill's first visit with Dr. Bob. These men later became the co-founders of AA. Bill's story opens the text of this book, and Dr. Bob's heads the story section. Back to our story. When our friend related his experience, the man agreed that no amount of willpower he might muster could stop his drinking for long. A spiritual experience, he conceded, was absolutely necessary, but the price seemed high upon the basis suggested. He told how he lived in a constant worry about those who might find out about his alcoholism. He had, of course, the familiar alcoholic obsession that few knew of his drinking. Why, he argued, should he lose the remainder of his business, only to bring still more suffering to his family by foolishly admitting his plight to people from whom he made his livelihood? He would do anything, he said, but that. Being intrigued, however, he invited our friend to his home. Sometime later, and just as he thought he was getting control of his liquor situation, he went on a roaring bender. For him, this was the spree that ended all sprees. He saw that he would have to face his problems squarely, that God might give him mastery. All right, classic story right here of how these two men... Well, I'll get to it in a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move on over to the personal story. Oh, you know what? I apologize. There's not going to be any reading out of the personal stories today. I read ahead the last couple of days, so we'll move right on over to the 12 and 12. I got to do a better job of writing this stuff down. All right, my friends. So we are finishing up tradition number 11 today. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. So again, we're going to read the bottom of 182 and 183. The Foundation wrote letters to practically every news outlet in North America, setting forth our public relations policy of attraction rather than promotion, and emphasizing personal anonymity as AA's greatest protection. Since that time, editors and rewrite men have repeatedly deleted names and pictures of members from AA copy. Frequently, they have reminded ambitious individuals of AA's anonymity policy. They have even sacrificed good stories to this end. The force of their cooperation has certainly helped. Only a few AA members are left who deliberately break anonymity at the public level. This, in brief, is the process by which AA's Tradition 11 was constructed. To us, however, it represents far more than a sound public relations policy. It is more than a denial of self-seeking. This tradition is a constant and practical reminder that personal ambition has no place in AA. In it, each member becomes an active guardian of our fellowship. All right, some great stuff there that really kind of hits an exclamation point toward the end. What I think of is, for this podcast in particular, this isn't about me. This is about carrying the message. This is about reading two books that have been instrumental in my recovery, but I don't speak on behalf of AA. I mean, that's why I've said that in almost every episode. I'm just a guy. The things that I say, I try to keep it based on my own personal experience, but I don't speak on behalf of AA, nor do I want to. I want to honor these traditions as best I can and keep myself out of it. and try my best to remain as anonymous as I possibly can. But great chapter. What a great tradition here that's been established. And hey, we're down to one tradition left and we'll have this book finished. It's hard to believe. But going back to the big book real fast, I'll make this pretty quick since we're running up on time. It's easy for me to it's easy for me to kind of just gloss over this encounter with Bill and Dr. Bob, but there's a couple things here that really are mind-boggling if you think about it. I mean, Bill is on thin ice. I mean, it's like that old classic, I've got the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. And he's starting to rationalize that poor decision to drink. Well, I've been sober for a little while. Maybe I got this thing licked. But something tells him, no, I can't do this. That's something, that little inner voice telling him no. Oh man, I think that's powerful. And I got some theories about that, but that's Robology. You don't need to hear that. You probably don't want to hear that. But then, so he randomly, and I put that in air quotes that you cannot see, he randomly happens to open up to this directory and find this one clergyman who actually eventually introduces Bill to Dr. Bob. So once again, a random encounter, right? I wonder about this now. Like, had Bill chosen to drink, had he never looked at that random directory and found that random person that introduced him to another random person, Dr. Bob, if that never happened, would we have AA today? It's mind-boggling to think about. Absolutely mind-boggling. I can only speak for me, but I've had moments where the devil's on one shoulder and the angel's on the other. I know what the right answer is, the right choice is, and I know what the wrong choice is, or the wrong thing to do is, and I'm starting to rationalize that wrong choice. Well, I've been sober 6 months, maybe I don't really have an alcohol problem. Maybe I'm just depressed. I've been there. And unfortunately, I've made the wrong choice a few times. And then you wonder how in the world you got there. You played the tape all the way through and you realize, oh, I messed up. The good news is, if we do mess up, we can get right back on the horse at any point. One of my friends used to say, you can start your day over at any time during the day. But the big thing is, I think it's the big reason why I shouldn't shut the door on my past. It's because I got to learn. Okay, that didn't work out. So what can I do differently this time? For me, the biggest thing was surrender. And start listening to what the fellowships told me to do. I used to beat myself up for over making these wrong decisions, but I didn't know better back then. I just didn't know. But over time, thanks to this book, thanks to the steps, thanks to prayer, meditation, conscious contact with the God of my understanding, and the wisdom that I've picked up along the way from other people far, far wiser than me, I have tools to deal with these issues that come up, because they will. It's life. If you haven't faced adversity, just keep on living. But now I can face them. I'm not always going to get it right, I know that. But it really feels good when I do. And when I don't, I can begin my day over at any point. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling for one day, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, or any other sect, denomination, religion, anything. I'm just a friend in recovery. And I'm grateful you're here with me. And if you are sober today, my friend, I'm proud of you. I know you don't know me, but and I might not know you necessarily, but I know the struggle. And I'm very proud of you. And I'm sure that those who love you and are close to you are very proud of you as well. If we are given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.